let's talk about a little more about the book itself. So you teased out, or maybe they hit you in the face, I don't know, but there were 4 attributes
Yeah.
that you compiled into what you call the success factor. And I found most fascinating, beyond the factors themselves, that it's important to do them all at once.
Yes.
So could you talk a little bit about those factors and the doing it all at once?
That's right. So these are the same 4 things in the astronauts and the Nobel Prize winners and the NBA champions and the Olympic champions. And when I realized that they do all 4 of this, then that was my aha moment. I realized we're onto something. So the 4 things, you're right, they have to be done in tandem. The first one is tap into what we call in adult learning your intrinsic motivation, what comes from within, what you were put on this earth to do. This is not you find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. That's nice, but this is more than that. This is why you were put on this earth. You can't not do it. That's what that's about, right? It's not about the medals, the diplomas, the awards. That's extrinsic motivation. That is when other people are judging your work, and that is hard to sustain long term. But when it comes from the inside, when that fire comes from within inside, that's intrinsic motivation. And you want to spend a lifetime pouring gasoline on that fire because that's really going to catapult you to success. That's number 1. You could have all the talent and you can have the passion, but if you don't work at it, the work ethic, the perseverance, the tenacity, the grit, the resilience, whatever you want to call it, it's not going to have the same impact. Now, it's not about working 18-hour days. It's about working smarter, not just harder. Figuring out how to leverage your peak hours of the day, figuring out how to turn challenges into opportunities. In fact, all of these high achievers, they never question if they'll overcome a challenge. Never. They know that they'll overcome the challenge. Instead, they focus on how to overcome the challenge. What is that strategy I haven't thought of yet in order to get this to happen? Now, once you start doing that, it's no longer up to chance. You are controlling what you can control. You are now in the driver's seat. And when you're in the driver's seat, it's all up to you. Well, now you really want to put pedal to the metal because now you know that you can create change, right? So it's how you're dealing with those challenges. Number 2.
Just
Number 3.
sort of how and when, right? And I can imagine that is wind in the sails because of the confidence that would engender in someone. And you don't spend all of this energy and time, thought on can I do this or not, right? It's just how and when will I do it? That's wonderful.
They feel they need to try. And in fact, one of the sentiments that kept coming up over and over and over again is that they fear not trying more than they fear failing. They're okay with failing. As long as nobody dies, they're okay with failing because that's a learning opportunity. But not trying is not something they can do. That's not something they can live with.
Certainly something many of us could learn from. Yeah.
For sure.
All right.
For sure.
So that's 2. What are 3 and 4?
The third one is a strong foundation, which is constantly being reinforced. What they did early in their career, they do later on in their career. Every time in October when the Nobel Prizes are announced, and I'm one of those people that wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning to hear the announcement, you see pictures going viral on Twitter of here's someone who just won the Nobel Prize and still had a lab meeting, is still teaching the class, still submitting a grant. It's what worked for them early in their career. It's what will work later in their career. They never give up that foundation. They continue to do it. In fact, long track speed skater Bonnie Blair, for those who remember her from the Winter Olympics, she won multiple medals. And at that time, her biggest competitors were the East Germans, right? It's when Germany was split.
Yeah.
And she said that their thighs were like tree trunks. She said, I'm never going to be able to compete with their power. So what she did was she went back to one of her earlier coaches to work on the basics. She said, I can't beat them on power, but I can beat them on technique. And she went back to the technique, and that's how she won multiple gold medals, multiple. So that was 3. Last but not least is all of these people, despite all of their accolades that they have, They're constantly opening their mind up to new knowledge. They're looking at what can I learn from one industry, use it in another industry in a slightly different way, because that's innovation. Or what are these different things that I'm hearing, and how can I connect dots in a way that other people don't even see yet? Now, in order to be able to connect dots that other people don't see, you have to open your mind up to new knowledge.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they read 3 to 8 hours a day. They're notorious for that. That's how they're gaining new knowledge. But there's so many other ways you can do that. You can read articles. I know the two of us write for Forbes. You can watch LinkedIn Live. Hopefully, we're sharing good stuff here. LinkedIn Learning has great courses, articles, podcasts, webinars. It's endless if you actually want to learn more. Now, one of the ways also is to talk to other people, and not just any people. All of the extreme high achievers actually surrounded themselves with a team of mentors who believed in them more than they believed in themselves. That's how to do it.
Yeah.
But you got to do all of them.
Which is more confidence.